both owners of the Savoy Ballroom as well as Dance With Me, and we're the kind of the I guess directors, the creators of Thriller on C Street. Well, Thriller on C Street started as an experiment in 2010. This is our 7th time in the street, and it's kind of the tail end of 6 years ago.
So, where did the idea come from?
Really, so let you take that one.
We were teaching cotillion about 7 years ago, and the kids wanted us to teach them Thriller, so we learned the dance in order to teach it to our cotillion kids, and then we decided to teach it to our dance students. We offered six classes, I think, for $20 at that time, and we had 120 students decide to take it. And it was kind of too big to perform in the ballroom, and then Andy had the brainchild to go out on the street and close it off and see if we could perform it out there and see if anybody would actually show up for it.
And they did.
Yeah.
So what is it about Thriller that makes people just go crazy, I feel like?
It's, I don't know, it's just the genius of the song, the music, Michael Jackson. I don't know, it's just, it crosses generations where lots of other things don't. There are kids that do this that do not think of Thriller as, well, that's something my parents listen to, I don't like it. There's grandkids out there with their grandparents. There are parents. There's always 3 generations out there in the street taking part in this.
This has been a huge outlet, I think, for advertising for you guys, has it not? What would you say about it from the promotion of the Savoy in your dance studio?
Honestly, I think that part's really nominal. I mean, there's a lot of recognition that comes from it, but the carryover from our zombies into our other dance classes is actually less than our dancers into Thriller. There's a lot of people who just show up for Thriller that won't show up for anything else. There's a lot of people who show up for the event Thriller on C Street that are just gone throughout the rest of the year. It's not that they're from out of town. Some of them it's because they're out of town, but some of them, they're around here, their only real interest is just being part of that event, being part of the big group that dances it in the street. And there's just something to that draw of being part of a big production, of dancing Thriller, for some people just getting an excuse to dress up like a zombie and act weird in public. I don't know, there's just this weird mix of these elements that for some reason just keeps drawing out thousands of people every year.
So then what's the benefit? Why do you guys do it?
I don't think we could stop. I don't think they would let us. For many, we get calls that say it's a bucket list item. It's something they've always wanted to do. They do it once. I just think that the momentum for us and what it does for the street, I don't think they'd let us stop now.
So Commercial Street's been growing and it's changing, and it's still, I've seen 3 new businesses I didn't even know were here that are now here. They're popping up within the last couple of months.
Yeah.
What's the impact been like for Commercial Street having, thousands of people come down to this event?
I think part of it at the time when we did the event, it's almost like a lightning strike. Commercial Street itself was already a lightning rod, and this area was on the verge of exploding anyway. There's all kinds of activity, and I think that's part of why Commercial on C Street is what it is. It was kind of a lightning rod effect that I don't think it would have happened like that anywhere else in Springfield, or almost anywhere else in the country for that matter. And what we have found is that every year more and more people show up and seem to want to shop. In fact, they're to the point where they're shopping more than the shops want them to. Most of the shops just have to draw a line and close their doors and say, no, we're closed for the evening, come back next week. In fact, a lot of the food places have had to turn people away. This last time, we've talked with pretty much every place that serves food on the street. Artisan's Oven typically isn't open on Saturdays. He opened on Saturday, sold out of all of his food, still stayed open till about 8 o'clock, serving nothing but hot cider, hot chocolate, and coffee.
So what's next?
Really at this point, because, well, as you saw yourself when you come out here, this street's pretty well filled to capacity. So, in things we've talked about, it needs a larger space, so it either has to one day take up more of the street, or literally it'd have to travel somewhere else. Part of it being Thriller on C Street, we don't know if that part of it would expand or be franchisable or be able to do another location, and try to brainstorm ideas and come up with ideas on how can we take this and keep it growing.
And even better accommodate the audience that we do have so that they have a better view of the show too. We always hear that a little bit, not a lot, but we are trying to make sure that everybody has a good opportunity to see the show.